Welcome back to the Don't Tell Me About Yourself podcast. We are in Savannah, Georgia at the TalentSphere Summit 2026. And we're with Amanda Perry. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank
Wonderful.
you. I am wondering, how did you end up here at TalentSphere?
Oh, that's a good question. So I lead our customer success team at CoderPad, and this is a really good opportunity anytime where I can get in front of our main points of contacts, the main people who are challenged and then thus can be helped by our product. I like to get in front of them, even if it's not in a salesy way. Like I said, I'm in customer success. It's about how I can help solve problems, and anytime I can learn more about those problems in a deeper way, in a really natural environment is something I like to take advantage of. So last year, my boss, our CEO, came and thought it would be a great opportunity to come and for me to really just learn about some of the challenges that our TA partners are experiencing and what we can do from a product or a partnership standpoint to really help those challenges out.
And for those who don't know what CoderPad is and what they do, can you talk to us a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to. CoderPad is a technical hiring platform. And so what that means is we provide from top of the funnel all the way down a platform for real world assessments and live interview platforms specifically and mainly for coders and developers. So anybody that you are wanting to really make sure that you can understand that they have the skills to do the job is really where we focus and where we like to spend the most of our time. I think we like to say we create software that helps teams create badass teams. And so really that's what we do, right? We want our customers to be able to hire the right people, let the skills say it all, rather than focus on vibes and resumes.
Right. Yeah. Is hiring exactly. Is hiring for those kinds of skills getting harder?
It's interesting. I don't know that it's getting harder. I definitely think that it's changing.
Okay.
So in the world of AI, I think you've probably heard a lot, right? Like AI is not only taking your job in TA, but AI is taking engineering jobs, and the doom and gloom is kind of all over the internet.
Yes.
And so I think what we're seeing, and a lot of the conversations that our customers are saying is that's actually not true. It is definitely changing, and the world in which you hired an engineer and you brought them in for a technical on-site and you like physically whiteboarded and made them code and looked at the output and how fast could they code and was it accurate? Those days are gone.
Okay.
And so where the conversation is going and where the interview process, where our most forward-leaning companies and the ones who are getting the best talent, what that looks like is really a combination of asking somebody to do a take-home assessment, to provide some code using AI, and then what does that conversation look like after they've done the output. So it's no longer specifically about the output, but how they got there, how they used AI to collaborate in order to really get more done with less. I think that's what everybody's trying to do now. Everybody has to do it. And we all know that using AI is how you're going to get there. But I really think it's not whether you're using it, it's how you're using it.
Yeah. And I think it's great to like embrace that. Like, I think what I'm hearing about that hiring process is like, you're acknowledging like they're going to use AI.
Yeah.
So instead of making it like a gotcha,
Yeah.
we're going to say like, go ahead,
Yeah.
do it. Let's see what you can do with it, because we want to know that. Because in your real work, like when you're working with us, you're probably going to use AI. So why wouldn't we just use that? And something I really struggle with is those people that are like detectives that are like, we're going to find out if this candidate's using AI. It's like, well, either let them use it from the jump and just be transparent about your boundaries, or
100%.
What are you doing?
100%. I think one of our big things, I say this a lot with my customers, it's not a gotcha. It's an I gotcha.
Yeah.
So like, how can you use it to really be more productive? You're using it anyway. And if you think people aren't using it, they're using it.
Right.
Especially developers. And they're using it every day in their job, and they're using it to be more productive. And so I think it's how do those candidates really clearly understand the boundaries, to your point. And as long as you've laid those out from start to finish, this is how we're going to use AI. This is when we're going to use it. This is when I expect you to use it. And then similarly, when I'm going to use it as the hiring manager. I think that's the part too that, because I think the other part that gets lost in all of this is the candidate experience in using AI and whether or not they're allowed to use it. I think not only are they frustrated when you tell them they can't use it, but then they're frustrated because they know that you're using it as the hiring manager.
It's a double standard.
It's a double standard. And so why not allow everyone to use it and just be really upfront with how we're going to do it and how I'm actually going to use it in order to engage in a really meaningful conversation conversation with you about how you're using it. Talk to me more about that prompt. Talk to me about why you changed the code the way you did. And so that's really, we see customers, huge name customers that we have that are totally revamping their entire hiring process, training 6,000 plus engineers and hiring managers in order to really incorporate AI into the process more. And so I think to go way back to that question, again, I don't think it's harder. I just think it's different. And I think that the companies that aren't really embracing it and leaning in are going to be left behind, and that they are losing. Actually, you said something in your last presentation that really stood out, which is that you're never going to hire a candidate that you never knew you got, or something like that. Right. Meaning that like you're missing out on great candidates. And that's what's happening, because the candidates who are coming out of college now and who are early career have, with AI, really decent experience. And we are seeing a lot of more senior level positions filled with more early level career because of their ability to really use AI in a meaningful way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably exciting for people who are younger, like earlier on in their careers, to hear that.
Yeah.
Because if it's
hopeful.
It's
hopeful.
You're bringing
and I think
hope.
That's what the doom and gloom is, right? Is like, oh, junior engineers are being replaced and only senior engineers are going to have jobs. And that's just not the case. We're seeing a lot of customers who are doubling their junior hiring because they're seeing candidates come in who, again, not just use it to use it, not just go into AI and ask it to plug in the code for you, but it's, can you then think critically about the output that AI gave you and then really use that? Okay, now that I have that, there's 3 things that are wrong here. Let me fix those 3 things and then debug. That's where we're seeing the conversations go. And so you're getting people who maybe earlier in their career weren't able to do things like debug or like systems design, but can now with the help of AI.
So that is so cool. Something that I heard you saying throughout that is that, well, one, it's okay for candidates to be using AI with those boundaries, like Victoria was saying, but how much transparency builds trust in the process? Let's just start with transparency.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Just start with transparency.
AI, like whatever it is. It's going to build trust.
You're going to use it. I'm going to use it. Right. Like I think I have one customer who had a really great example. And I talked about this actually in our panel yesterday, but they were, they had no, and this is where I see a lot of customers that kind of feel like they're flying blind. They feel like they don't necessarily, recruiters want one thing or TA wants one thing and engineering wants another, but they've got, the CTO is saying like, we're all in on AI. And then, and everyone's like, what does that mean? And then they're just being told that you figure it out. You figure out what that means. So there's no real guidelines. And so you've got some hiring managers doing one thing and some TA people doing another. And I have one customer where that was the case. And so recruiters were telling candidates up front, you could use AI. And then hiring managers were getting in and then penalizing the candidates for actually using it because it was cheating. And the candidates were frustrated and they were losing candidates simply because they weren't aligned throughout the process.
Right.
And they weren't.
Simple fix, that communication fix.
The communication. And up front, they were saying, hey, I thought I was allowed to use it. Or, so I can use it, but you have guardrails that you're not telling me about how I'm allowed to use it.
Then they start to go down the path of like, well, if this is how they're treating me in the interview, a candidate's going to go, is this what it's going to be like when I work there? Is it going to be confusing like this? Are people going to have different expectations of me and I'm going to not know? So honestly, you're just shooting yourself in the foot by doing that. It's such a simple fix. Such a juicy topic.
It is.
Oh my God.
It's really spicy. I love a good spicy topic.
And so I guess a question that I do have, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is because outside of AI, it's been the second hottest topic that I've heard while we've been here. And that's candidate fraud.
Yeah.
If you're not talking about AI, you're talking about candidate fraud. Can you give us any of your thoughts on that?
Yes.
In your industry?
Yeah. I mean, that is, especially I think in the engineering industry, there was a really interesting podcast where one of our customers was on talking about how they actually hired someone who wasn't a real person. So it turns out they were a deepfake, got all the way to the interview, all the way through hiring, all the way through first day, or right before first day. And, and the candidate was calling and saying like, I think I'm supposed to be hired. And they were like, I don't know who you are. And so it was, a very weird situation. And so I think that it happens a lot. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. There are all kinds of tools out there that can help with that. I think we have a lot of anti-cheating features that, will help determine whether or not somebody's a real candidate. And I think, we tell our customers to turn all of that on. But ultimately, it comes down to, I think, It's not banning AI. That isn't how you're going to make sure that they aren't a deep fake. I think we have a really cool feature, just a video interview. I know we talked about it actually in your last in your presentation that you just did, and I think I've got a lot of customers who are using it as a way, as the very first start to. So instead of a recruiter phone screen or a recruiter email, it is, hey, I'm going to send you a link. Will you just send me a 60-second video of yourself? Tell me who you are and why you want to work here. First of all, you've now eliminated the entire first step of like having to spend half an hour talking to them and creating notes and asking weird questions to determine like, I'm a real person, you're a real person, like let's move on. And so it allows the candidate to just give a quick presentation, like to know whether or not they're real. Okay, you're real. Now let's move on to either the assessment or a full-blown conversation or whatever that is. But what we're also finding is a byproduct of that is being able to see like really quickly, is this person a culture fit? Can they communicate who they are and what they stand for really quickly? Is the way that they talk and their cadence like a culture fit with our organization? The next question you're going to ask, because everyone has been asking it this week, is bias. And like, are you concerned about what a video might do with bias? And to be honest, I think that's something that's always going to exist, right? Bias exists. And I think as long as you are aware of it and you've got plans in place and can honestly explain like why you didn't move on with somebody, is it repeatable? Would we do it again? I think that isn't anything that, I mean, you're taking one trade-off for the other, right? Is the person real? And then is there bias? I think you have to weigh the pros and cons of both. And what are you most concerned about?
And bias is everywhere. It doesn't matter. We're well educated in understanding biases, and I still have biases. Somebody who says that they're from Iowa and plays soccer their whole life, I'm like, damn, you're cool, you know? But you have to have the systems in place to not let that shadow their experiences and whether it's well aligned. So that part I totally get. And I think that trying to find out if somebody's a real person by sending us a 60-second video, like the companies who are the first ones to send the video, be like, you know what? I'm going to be your first interviewer. This is my video I'm sending to you to show you that I'm a real person. This is what the job's going to be. These are what we're going to talk about just to prepare them, and like send me a video back and then we'll get this role. Like,
hi, I'm Amanda. I'm your recruiter, and this is who I am and what CoderPad stands for. And I would love for you to send me one back and tell me who you are and what you stand for. And again, that goes back to the transparency. This is what it's going to look like. I'm willing to do it. I'm asking you to do it as well. Now we both know we're real people. And I think, you know, we are, it's actually something, it doesn't, yes, we're technical hiring. And yes, like, especially in the interview, it allows you to really go side by side and understand, can somebody code? But I'm using our product. I'm hiring a customer success manager right now, and I'm using our product in order to do that with the interview question. I didn't think of doing it first, but I love it, and I'm going to start doing it. So thank you for that. But I'm sending assessments out and asking them to, you know, show me in real time, like, this is what the job is going to look like. But I also expect you to be able to use AI. And so what does that look like? And then I'm going through in the interview and saying like, okay, now let's talk about your assessment and what you did. I was so engaged with how you came up with that solution or the prompt that you asked ChatGPT. Talk to me about what that looked like. And it's changing the way and the conversations that we're having with our candidates in a way that wasn't happening 6 months ago. It's really exciting.
Yeah, that's sweet. I like that you call it exciting. I'm excited by it too. And it doesn't have to be scary.
Like, no, it doesn't have to be scary. We're figuring it out. And and I think, again, as long as you're transparent and honest and are willing to learn, that's all that we can do.
Where can our followers find you, the listeners? Can you tell them where they can find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Amanda Perry. I'm at CoderPad. You could also find CoderPad.io is our website. So go there. Take a look. Reach out.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for taking time with us.
Thank you. No,
we
this
wish
was
you
fun.
a wonderful rest of the conference.
I'm so happy to have met you guys. Thank you so much.